Hey guys, I just received a press release from Lomography about a new camera that they've got available. But in the release, there was a link to Lomography's 10 golden rules, which I'd never heard of before. I can't believe I've never come across these before because, I shoot film. I shoot with, these Lomo cameras like the Holga 120N, and I bought some Lomography film. But I've never heard of these golden rules, and I thought that they kind of intrigued me, and I thought I'd share my feelings on these rules. Now, I have to say that the Lomography literature has always cleverly encouraged the heavy use of film. Now, from a marketing standpoint, I think that's a really good idea for them. But the general idea of taking a lot of pictures in a really carefree way, I think that's got some merit to it, and it can result in some pretty amazing photography. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and get to the 10 golden rules of photography as set forth by Lomography. And when I say Lomography, I mean, a company that is heavily invested in the idea of Lomography, and they call themselves Lomography. You can get to them at lomography.com. All right, let's go ahead and take a look. Rule number 1, take your camera everywhere you go. Now, who's going to argue with that? I don't know. People regularly do that anyway, right? I mean, you've got your cell phone. It's digital. Take pictures all the time. Doesn't cost you anything like film does. Now, even for someone like me, I'm a photographer, right? And and I love shooting with my Holga. I love shooting film with this, and I like using my 35 millimeter cameras too. But the thing is, I don't really want to lug these around with me everywhere I go. This says take your camera everywhere you go. I'm not going to do that, even as much into photography as I am. Rule number 2 is use it anytime, day or night. I guess that goes along with take your camera everywhere you go. Lomography means take your film camera everywhere you go and use it day or night, which makes sense. Use it all the time. All right, rule number 3, Lomography is not an interference in your life, but part of it. I'm going to read part of this for you. Okay, your camera is an extension of you and your desires. It sees as you see, captures the feelings that you feel as you take each photo. And okay, stop trying to brainwash me, Lomography. I'm already there. And it's true though. Lomography, or just carrying a camera around with you in general, like any kind of a camera, can become part of your life. It doesn't have to be that way, but it can be. And most of us do carry around some kind of a camera, again, in our pockets, via the cell phone. They're talking about film cameras, and yeah, I have some friends who carry around film cameras with them all the time, and they're always taking pictures. So yeah, do with that what you will. I really don't want to carry a camera around with me constantly. Now, there's a philosophical reason for this, and a lot of it has to do with something that I'd read years ago, one of Susan Sontag's essays in her famous book on photography. And to paraphrase, she kind of gets into the idea that, if you're busy taking pictures, you're not really experiencing life. But one could argue that if you're really into photography, that is your life, so that's how you experience life. So you get what I'm saying here. I mean, it could go one way or the other. Me, I generally prefer to view my experience with my eyes primarily, and pull out the camera and use the camera and experience it through the camera as a kind of a secondary way to do it. Rule number 4 is try the shot from the hip. Now, all right, Lomography, you're just trying to encourage people to burn film without thought. Quote, you'll end up with all manner of crazy photos you never realized were possible. Give it a go. Well, yeah, if you point your camera in random directions and you just click the shutter, you're bound to end up with something that looks kind of cool. In any event, doing this, you're going to burn through film a lot faster than you would have if you took every picture with, a real degree of thoughtfulness. And so you burn through film faster. You're going to need to buy more film to keep that up. And I got to say, give it up to Lomography for inspiring ways to burn through film quickly. All right, number 5, approach the objects of your lomographic desire as close as possible. And again, let me just pull a quote from here. Get in contact with your subject and build up a relationship. More communication equals better lomography. Get close. Now get even closer. Don't be afraid. And I got to say, I'm all for that. I like this rule. Don't lurk in the shadows. Make those connections with the people around you and, the physical world. Number 6. Is this number 6 already? The rule is don't think. And then in parentheses, it says William Firebrace. And I believe William Firebrace is like a creative architect. I got to say, I like this rule more than I like the one, hey, just, shoot from the hip. Just shoot randomly. Don't look through the viewfinder. I like this rule a little more. It makes more sense to me. And I'll quote from it: shoot, feel, perceive and shoot, have fun, photograph whatever catches your eye, whatever attracts you, astounds you, excites you, seduces you. Your best shots won't be the ones you plot and plan. They'll be the ones where you grab your camera and shoot blind without a care in the world. Okay, well, maybe not shoot blind. Maybe shoot with eyes wide open and without judgment. That whole idea of being receptive and open to the world and shooting without judgment. I was first introduced to those ideas in a book called The Tao of Photography, Seeing Beyond Seeing. It's a book I highly recommend. All right, rule number 7, be fast. In other words, be ready to capture the moment. I can't argue with that. Rule number 8 and rule number 9 kind of go together. Let's see, rule number 8 says you don't have to know beforehand what you captured on film. Rule number 9 says, or afterwards either. Quoting from rule number 8, I guess. If we all know how life would turn out, where would the fun and excitement be? I have to agree with that. Look, dude, snap the shutter and capture the moment and then move on. Okay, there's other moments to come. You gotta live through this. So you capture a moment with the camera, and that becomes your souvenir. The resulting picture becomes a souvenir of that experience, of that moment. But life is full of moments. It's the moments are infinite. Okay, you can't have a souvenir of every single moment because there's just no room for all that. And if you're spending more time capturing souvenirs of your experience than you are actually experiencing the experience, what's the point? Unless that's all your life is photographs of things you didn't quite experience. Know what I'm saying? So don't worry about it. If in the moment you grabbed a cool photo, great. If it turns out, you get it developed and you say, wow, the photo worked out. This looks really cool. Then that's awesome. But, if it didn't capture a great photo from that moment, then don't worry about it. I mean, that's what snapshots are. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. Don't stress over that. Again, I keep coming back to this, be open and experience life. Take your pictures when you can, and if the mood strikes you, and don't worry about it after that. Every picture doesn't have to turn out. The ones you do get, then, great. The ones you don't, there's more to come. And finally, rule number 10, don't worry about any rules. And so that's another way of Lomography saying, yeah, we gave you these rules, but they're really not rules. They're really guidelines for, opening up and being creative and burning through a lot of film. Let me go ahead and pull a quote from that. Now for the most important lesson: life is about remaining true to yourself, not giving in to rules and regulations or conforming to norms. It's time to discover your own version of Lomography. So yeah, don't let anyone judge you, and don't spend too much time judging yourself. Just have fun, people. All right, so what do I think about this list of rules? I gotta say, the cynical side of me is gonna, and you saw some of it, the cynical side of me is gonna say, this is really a great marketing ploy disguised as a philosophy, so that you will go through more film more quickly and buy more film from them and buy cameras from them. At the same time, a lot of this advice is really good advice from a creative standpoint. I think these rules actually foster creativity. And they're really not rules. These are guidelines. No rules, remember? And I think actually that you can apply any of this to digital photography too, which won't burn film, which doesn't cost money. I shoot digital all the time, but I also shoot with my Holga. If you've watched any of my videos, recently, that's true. If you've seen my Instagram, it's just like full of film photography as well as digital. And I have to say that shooting with film is a completely different experience for me than using a digital camera. So you really can't compare. A lot of people try to say, yeah, but digital, you're saving money. I'll never go back to film. You know, the old film photographers, lots of them who've switched to digital say, I'll never go back to film. Dealing with chemicals, and it's so expensive, and all the hassle that goes into it. Well, there's a lot of hassle dealing with digital too. And I got to say, the processes of capturing pictures, digital compared to film, the processes are so different. And I'm in it lots of times. Taking pictures with a film camera is just, most of it's about that process. It's about how I enjoy, holding that kind of a camera in my hands and using it, and the sounds that it makes, loading film, and knowing that when I capture a picture on the film, that's a real object there. There's a latent image ready to be developed. Digital pictures are just, data that you then have to turn into images with a computer, and you know what I'm saying. Again, either way, whether you're just into digital or you're just into film or you do both like I do, I recommend that you take a look at this list of the 10 golden rules from Lomography, and I also highly recommend that you grab a copy of Tao of Photography, Seeing Beyond Seeing. And I'm going to go ahead and link to both of those in the description below. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. That's about it. See you next time.